We're just talking about The Road to Serfdom. Please read this book. Put this in your essential library. It's really what woke Reagan up, and it makes so much sense on why centralized government is a really bad idea. We're back with Thomas E. Woods, Jr. He is a senior fellow at the Ludwig von Mises Institute, and Yuri Maltsev. He is the professor of economics at Carthage College. Tom, let me go back with you and just give the fundamentals. Give three things in this that you think you pull out and say, this was radical thinking at the time and is still radical thinking because nobody's teaching it.
Right, in terms of freedom versus the planned society. Well, one of them is he has a whole chapter called Why the Worst Get on Top. Why systems like these that promise to plan everything down to the last detail for you attract demagogues and worse.
Why?
Well, for one thing, they're based on making promises that can't, in the long run, be fulfilled.
You mean like they think healthcare will actually save us money?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Or what we've had in the United States, where we've got $100 trillion of unfunded liabilities in terms of Social Security and Medicare for the future, which makes every household of four in the hock, on top of their existing taxes, another $1.3 million. So we've got the age of the negative millionaire we have now entered. That a normal person doesn't make promises like that. A normal person thinks about the future,
right?
And doesn't. Whereas, as I say, these people who are in charge of these systems have ruined the lives of the young generation. They're never going to be able to pay their way out of this.
Next point.
Next point would be, it can't deliver. The planned society can't even deliver. So it's bad enough you're in the gulag. You can't even get any toilet paper. I mean, you can't even deliver.
What was life like in the Soviet Union? I remember as a kid, we were scared to death of you people. Yes, we thought for sure you were going to vaporize us.
Right. But they didn't have anything. They didn't have toilet paper. Because if you are a great dictator, I mean, why should you think about toilet paper or mouthwash or condoms? You're just making you're just reversing rivers and exploring the space and all kind of big things.
And the third thing that you pulled out?
The third, let's see, what did I pull out? The third thing is we don't all have to have the same plan, because I just did this over the break. We don't all have to have the same plan. That is to say, with a central plan, everybody has to sort of agree to abide by the planner's priorities. But in a free society, my priorities are my own. I lead my own life, you lead your own life, and the market, through the price system, coordinates it all.
People don't understand this. Yuri, one of our producers, when did she graduate from college? Or when was she born? She was born in 1988. Uh-huh. She worked with you today. And
Natasha.
She said, now that you've ratted her out, now she's going, but she said, what is defected from the Soviet Union mean? That's how disconnected, because we don't have anything like it. I know what defected means, but somebody who's born in 1988 has no clue.
That's right, that's right. And I think that's the show like this is very important to
explain what defected from the Soviet Union means.
Yes, to defect means give away your beloved motherland, which was never the case with me, because I knew almost from day one what was happening, because of my grandfather was killed, my father's life was ruined, and so it was easy for me to make this decision. But for many people it was really because I defected in 1989, which was already perestroika. They ran out of bullets, as people would say, so they couldn't kill anybody. But I was, for example, an exchange student in England in 1970s, and I would never defect from there because my father would be sent to Siberia, my family would be thrown out of their apartment, out of jobs and everything. So it was a pretty tough society. And I see this other pictures behind you. Yeah. That was a hit list of KGB. If you read, you can also put Solzhenitsyn there. If you read one of these individuals, you can go to Siberia. And for us, it was the best marketing, because if they hate somebody, that means he was a very nice person.
Oh, can I tell you something? I can't tell you how many people say to me now, Glenn, I don't know about your friends, but I judge you by your enemies. I judge you by your enemies. We're going to talk about those three people next week, and we have a couple of things from the audience we're going to get to next. Back in just a second.
liberal will be all about. This liberal will be all about socializing, would be about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies.
This is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen on television. Oh crap, I said it out loud, didn't I? We're talking about the road to serfdom. We're back with Thomas E. Woods, Jr. He's a senior fellow at the Ludwig von Mises Institute, and Yuri Maltsov. He is a professor of economics at Carthage College. You know, Yuri, we were talking in the break. When I see that, I said to you, I feel like I'm like you must have felt back in the Soviet Union with Pravda. Sometimes you watch the news and you're like, that didn't happen. And then when you see things like that, I can't believe we're kind of in shock here, people who are awake, because we're going down spooky roads. We don't have to end up in, road to serfdom. It may not end there. But, I mean, we've got some spooky signals coming down the road. What was it when you got to America that you were like, whoa, wow? Either good or bad.
Yes, well, the good people are very good. It's definitely it was very delightful to meet people that I know.
Have you been outside New York? I'm kidding.
I lived in New York in Corona, Queens.
Yeah.
But the most disturbing thing is to see the symptoms of the same disease, which completely destroyed the country I came from. That the system that we are just traveling, we're accelerating on this road to serfdom. We're accelerating that way, and to the point even that on the 6th of June, which was the day before yesterday, on Sunday, a bust of Stalin was inaugurated in Bedford, Virginia, in the National D-Day Memorial. And the idea was that he's part of our history.
Yeah.
Yes, but
he's Stalin.
Yeah.
We've been debating that all day. We're going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow. It's Stalin, for the love of people. I don't think you get a bust if you've killed how many people?
Right.
20 million people?
50 million.
50 million. I don't think you get the bust.
He dwarfed Hitler. He dwarfed Stalin. People like Jeffrey Dahmer just looks like a kindergarten boy. I mean, and then in this idiotic argument that he's part of our history,
yeah.
But there would not be D-Day without Hitler.
Let me ask you, Thomas. When you read The Road to Serfdom, is this the road we're on?
Well, Hayek is thinking mainly of central planning of a kind that most people aren't openly calling for. But I think his arguments are still...
We're talking about nationalizing the oil.
Yeah, nationalizing and crony capitalism, whereby certain people get special privileges. They don't have to suffer the losses.
Right.
That's a system that he would be warning about. So his diagnosis and his recommendations are valid for us today.
Number one recommendation from him, do you think?
Oh, it would just be always err on the side of individual liberty and don't fall for propaganda to the contrary.
Please read this book, America. Please read this book. Let me go to, is it David? Hi, David.
Hi. Yeah, when it comes to the severe restrictions on the road to serfdom and the punitive consequences, did the United States government or American agency take issue with this book and this kind of practice in the Soviet Union?
Well, we took issue with the Soviet Union.
No, we never did. No, about the book.
But the book.
No, definitely we didn't. No, and I mean.
But he was ostracized, was he not?
He was ostracized here in the United States, in academia. He couldn't get a paying job here. So the same as his mentor Ludwig von Mises.
And he won the Nobel Prize, we might note. So he wasn't.
Yeah, but they're giving those things out like candy.
Yeah, well,
give those to practically anybody.
Then, amazingly enough, the book is dedicated to socialists of all parties, So he believes that many people don't understand what socialism is.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, pick it up, Road to Serfdom. Make it a part of your essential library. Back in just a minute. America, you know, if you watch this show and then you watch the bestseller lists, this audience reads an awful lot. Don't let anybody tell you this audience is stupid. And I tell you to read everything. I tell you to read, I mean, these are communists that wrote this. Is currently out. If you haven't read Atlas Shrugged, you got to read Road to Serfdom. The only way that we're going to fix our future is to understand the past. We have an incredible show on the fiction that morphed into reality next week. You don't want to miss it. From New York, good night, America.